Well, hello, football fans. Welcome to the college football edition of Proline. I'm John Creighton in Las Vegas, joined by Sean Hessen, Jeff Sod. We're going to take a look at three big rivalry college football games this weekend. First, what a weekend it was for dogs. Dog across the board. The books in Vegas must have done very well, Sean. Were you in on any of the payback?
Well, I mean, and plus we've always been talking about experienced quarterbacks versus inexperienced. How about that TCU almost that they make that 2-point conversion, and the line, Jeff, went all the way from 3 to 19. Oklahoma favored by 19 at home over TCU, with of course Boykin was out, and they almost won the game 30-29. And what about Michigan State? Another rookie quarterback replaces a quarterback that has the best record ever at Michigan State, and they just wanted it more, and they beat Ohio State straight up as about a 14-point underdog. There was maybe some 14.5s out there. And then Baylor, which wound up as a favorite, they go into Oklahoma State and destroy their perfect season. I mean, yeah, in fact, I think there's two undefeated teams now, Iowa and Clemson. And in fact, from last year's Final Four, I think the only one that's going to make it is Alabama. The only repeat, because I think Ohio State is done. No matter what happens with Michigan, take a miracle for them to get in there is how I see that. And then the NFL, a couple of real surprises. I had Minnesota. They didn't even show up against Green Bay. But I've been saying at Carolina, you just stay with them. Just stay, because they keep covering numbers by margins, and they're undefeated. And I know you disagree with me, John, but I don't think Dallas has a chance, and the game is like pick 'em. So, yeah, a lot of surprises.
Head-to-head Thursday, yes. I say Carolina goes down for the first time, and you say another
1-10 in a row. How do you predict when that's going to end? So.
Well, we shall see. All right, big rivalry games coming up this weekend. Let's start off with this Notre Dame Stanford game on the West Coast going Saturday. Early number here, Stanford 3.5. Total around 50, and 65% of the early money coming in on the home team here of Stanford. This is a Notre Dame team that's only one loss for the entire season. They're 7-4 against the spread. They were a dog only twice in two other games this year. This is the third time they've been a dog. Dog to Georgia Tech, won the game 30-22. They were a dog to Clemson +3. Got the cover, but didn't get the win 24-22. They have the backup quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser, who's been terrific.
Almost won the game.
Yeah, that's right, that early game. Yeah, so. Only 9 picks for the kid. He's very good rushing, 371 yards. It's a balanced attack with a powerhouse defense off the win over Boston College at Fenway Park, if you can believe that.
Neutral site.
302 total yards they allowed. So, and they played a Pac-12 team early in the year. They crushed USC 41-31. So, Sean, it's a long road trip here for the Irish squad. Do you think Dan Devine is going to have the troops up?
Well, first of all, this is another one of these things where the lower ranked team, I mean, I have Stanford ranked as number 13. I just use the AP ratings. There's other computer out there, but they are the lower ranked team. They're the home team here. You're right. Open 3 went to 3.5 against number 4 Notre Dame. The game will go at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Pretty decent weather out there in Palo Alto. There's a chance of rain, but not much. In the high 40s, partly cloudy. Yeah, Notre Dame, you covered a lot of this. 10-1 straight up, a very good 7-4 against the house, against the bookie. But 0-2, their last 2 against the number, so a little bit of slippage here, and they're just 2-2 against the number in road games. I think you mentioned this, Irish coming off a big 19-16 win versus Boston College, and it was at a neutral site up in Fenway. But they were leading Boston College 16-3 after 3 quarters as a 14.5-point favorite, and it looked like they were going to cover the game, but they were lucky to hang on and win the game 19-16. Their only loss, as you said, was at Clemson by 2 points. Sophomore quarterback Kaiser, can't pronounce his first name, so I won't try. He's done well, replacing the original starter Zier, 18 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions, 2,362 yards. He runs the ball pretty well for 371 yards. There's no secret what Kelly likes to do. Kelly likes to run the football. He's got people, behind, and I can't pronounce his name, Jeff, Procise.
He's injured, though.
Yeah, I was going to say he's got some ankle injuries, but 1,029 yards at 6.5 yards per carry. They also have a freshman. He maybe has some injury problems, 622 yards at 7.4 yards a pop. Then there's the junior, William Fuller, who has 1,009 yards. So there's no doubt what Kelly likes to do and rely on the pass every once in a while just to keep him off balance. Notre Dame, they won this game last year against Stanford as a home dog at 2.5, very close, 17-14. Notre Dame still has a title shot. Some stuff has to happen for them to get in there, but they're not out of it. Let's take a look at Stanford, 9-2 straight up, a very good 7-3-1 against the bookie. They covered 5 straight games early after that Northwestern loss in week 1, where they were like a 9-point favorite and lost the game straight up. I think they only scored 6 points. Does that sound right? I can't remember the score, but they scored nothing. And but just 2-2-1 in their last 5 games. They're coming off a home covering win, 35-22 as a home favorite at 10 last week versus Cal. They're generally very good. How about this? This team, 47-23 against the number in their last 70 line games. They just simply make money. That's 67%. They're 5-1 straight up, 4-1-1 against the number at home. So they play a little better at home than they do on the road. Stanford already bowl eligible. In fact, the Pac-12 has 6 teams that are already bowl eligible. There's a shot. It's a slim shot. A lot of things have to happen for them to maybe get to the Final Four. But like I said, a lot of things has to happen. Senior quarterback. Here we go. We talk about this a lot. Of course, it didn't work that well last week. Some of these quarterbacks really stepped up. But generally, I look at senior quarterbacks. Kevin Hogan, he's been there a while. Very good numbers. 19 touchdown passes, only 7 interceptions. And that sophomore running back, McCaffrey, is that his name? 1,546 yards at 5.9 yards a clip, and he's rushed for 100-plus yards in 9 straight games. Stanford historically famous for quarterbacks that throw the football, but this year they got some defense and they got a running back who can carry the mail. Stanford, they've won the last 3 home games against Notre Dame, but they've covered just 1 of them. This is a tough one here. Stanford with a title shot, but like I said, a lot of stuff has to happen with the Big 12 for them to have that. And plus, they got to win this, and they probably have to win it pretty convincingly, get some style points for them to even be considered to this. Where's the edge? You've heard me talk about this before, even though it wasn't that great last week. The senior quarterback versus a sophomore quarterback is not an easy win here. I don't really see a blowout. I think Notre Dame actually has the better personnel in general, but it's home revenge. It's a short number. I'm going to look for Stanford to win this game. Tough call, but to lean to Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford on an 8-1 run since that opening loss you mentioned to Northwestern. And I thought Stanford would be a grinded-out offensive team, chewing up the yards and be a great defense. They've actually been the opposite of that. This offense has been sensational all year. The last 9 games, they topped 40 points 5 times, and the other have been over 30 points behind senior quarterback Kevin Hogan. Defense has had some shaky games. They come off the win over Cal, giving up 22 points. They did have that loss to Oregon where they gave up 38 points and a ton of yards. So it's been kind of a different Stanford team than these last few years. So, Jeff, how do you look at this one? You really got the Notre Dame defense against the Stanford offense. Who has the edge?
Well, the Notre Dame rushing defense is not that great, and they have to go up against Christian McCaffrey, who leads the country in all-purpose yards. The major question here is how many injuries can the Notre Dame sustain? It's just been devastating this year. And now they lost a cornerback, Kavari Russell. He's out. Procise will probably be out because a high ankle sprain takes a long time to heal. I'm not sure how much they can, how long they can go without those injuries having an effect. It was an ugly one over BC, 19-16. They turned the ball over 3 times in the red zone. Deshaun Kaiser was 20 of 38, but he had 3 interceptions. He did have 320 yards passing. Stanford leads the country also in time of possession, so that might limit Notre Dame's opportunities when they do get the ball. McCaffrey ran for 193 yards on Saturday, 6.6 yards per carry. Kevin Hogan only had to pass 12 times. They didn't really need a passing game that day. He was 7 of 12 for 96 yards, 1 TD. Stanford lost a close one. The last 3 years the games have been close here. Last year Stanford lost 17-14, but I just don't see. I know Stanford's playing 2 rivalry games in a row, but they're kind of used to that there at Stanford. I just don't. I think finally the injuries catch up with Notre Dame here, and going on the road against a hot Stanford team, I have to lean towards Stanford.
I think the money's going to go that way too. Yeah. I don't think it's not going to be like 6 or anything like that, but I think it was already going up to 3.5, and I can see 4 in the next day or 2. So,
well, I'm going to take a look at the style of play that I think is going to happen, and that would be 2 teams that are going to want to pound the rock, run the football, control the ball and the clock. Now, if they do that, that's going to chew up yards too. Stanford is very capable of doing that with McCaffrey, and Notre Dame too. They can running quarterback as well as Procise, the running back.
Procise. Now you got me saying it.
Yeah.
Procise.
I never was good with these long names or these weird names.
I think you're going to see a battle
Can't
of ball
pronounce my
control.
name.
And when you look at Notre Dame, when they face a team with a winning record like this, 36-17-1 under the total. Stanford can play a physical D at the line of scrimmage as well. And in last year's game was very low scoring, 17-14. In fact, Stanford had just 205 total yards with the same quarterback here. Stanford on natural grass, 17-8 under the total. And the last 5 meetings between these teams, 5-0 under the total, including that 17-14 game last year. I will look at Stanford Notre Dame under the total.